Doom, dun, 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 dun. What up, my guys? Welcome to another show, man. This is the second edition NBA Talk with Jay. I got my guy with me, Punch School. His name is Josh, but Punch School on Twitter if you guys want to follow him. Josh, tell the people who you are, my guy.
Appreciate you, Jay. Appreciate you having me on, man. It's been a long time coming. We've been trying to take this one up for a little while, but I'm glad we got there. Plenty of NBA to talk. As always, like you said, though, anyone wants to chat outside of the show, hit me up on Twitter. Always happy to talk ball anytime.
Appreciate you, man. My guy coming from Australia, man. He had to let me know. I tried to get him on the early show this morning. He's like, man, that's 4 o'clock in the morning, bro. Man, I don't even want to do my guy like this. So I said, I'm gonna do a whole nother show. Obviously, we got injury info as well. Do another show. I hit him up, see if he can come on. He can. I sure appreciate you. And he's a totals guy as well, guys. So as we know, obviously, I don't really dig into the totals like that, but we will today, man. Let's get into it though, Josh. Get into it. It's all business here on this show, man. First game up, and we got the Nets versus the Bulls right now. There is still possibly even more injury info with this one. I do think there's a big injury with this one here, Joshua. Alex Caruso here. Obviously, if he's in there, he's one of the better defenders for the Nets here. What we're looking at in this game.
Yeah, he's going to be pretty pivotal, I think, in a game like this. Obviously, he's probably the only one that you can naturally throw at someone like James Harden and feel comfortable in him being able to do a job. My concern with the Bulls has always been when they play these top teams, aside from Caruso, when it comes to superstar matchups, who can you trust defensively? And, like you said, it's Caruso or pass basically at that end of the floor. But for me, I took Chicago earlier. I took a 3 on them. I like them in this spot. I just have concerns about the Nets having to play KD so many minutes every night, like 40 plus minutes. It's great that he loves it, but this is the NBA. You can't just do it every single night and perform at that level. We've seen him have, let's say, off nights and a little bit, rusty in terms of shooting when playing on these back-to-backs. If that happens again today, I don't know if they can keep pace with Chicago, and that's kind of my concern here for them.
Yeah, that's a good point there. Like you say, it is a back-to-back. I don't necessarily. So, guys, I'll tell you. At first, I know I came on here earlier, said the Mavs going to be the player today. Unfortunately, I didn't bet those games. We'll talk about that real quick, but I just had to. I'll be honest. I found another player today. I met the spot. I go all the way down there. I try to take the under. Book is like, nah, I ain't taking it no more. All this. That's a whole nother story. But I hopped on the Nets, man. I took the Nets -2.5, which early show as well. I said that I'm on it anyway. Me and my guy Shark like it. I'll tell you why I like the Nets. I'll read off one of the quotes. James Harden and Kevin Durant said they're looking forward to facing Chicago again. Harden said that the last time they faced the Bulls and lost in Chicago, the Nets played 3 quarters and then suffered a meltdown in the fourth. Tomorrow's going to be a big test, Harden said. So they're looking forward to this game. I think that's why they kind of paced themselves versus the T-Wolves yesterday. He's right. In that last game, they got smacked up. They got outscored 42-17 versus Chicago. That was in Chicago as well. And the Nets, they were on a much terrible spot. They were in a back-to-back spot. So this game, even though the Nets are in the back-to-back, they don't have to travel, and they've been at the house. This is the 4th straight game at the house. So you guys know how to say same arena. They're getting hot. You know what I'm saying? I would be surprised if they get hot as far as shooting here. The Bulls lost Javonte Green. He was starting 4 for them. Then I see Caruso with the hamstring, Josh. I'm just like, I really think that there's a heavy chance that Caruso could sit in this one. He was +21 versus the Knicks in that one. And if it wasn't for him, obviously, they only won by 5 points. They would have lost that game. So I think Caruso is heavy for them. And I guess that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm banking on Caruso, maybe not to be at 100%. And I think the Nets they'll play a lot better game than the last one here. Did you have any look on the total?
Yeah, I definitely agree with all of that for sure. And like you said, the Caruso factor for me is big. I think if you like the Nets, you probably want to take them now more so than later. Like I got in earlier on Chicago, so luckily enough, but that probably floats back out higher, I think, again, towards that 3.5, especially if he's out. He's someone that can certainly move the needle. With the total here, look, I have to play the overs if I'm going to play anything, just because of the pace of play. And I think offensively, both teams have enough matchups to exploit to be able to score. I think Chicago wanting to try get inside, be aggressive in the lane, they should have success there. That's kind of the one sort of Achilles heel, I think, for Brooklyn. And what we've seen in basically every Brooklyn game this season, where they've either lost or where they've given up a ton of points, is teams like to push the tempo on them. And that's the only way you can score on them. Their half-court defense is actually really good. They've got the length to disrupt shooters. They execute the zone really, really well. If you want to be successful against Brooklyn, you've got to push the tempo and you've got to score early in transition before that defense can get set. And that's something Chicago can do. We know that they've certainly got the talent, the players to do just that. So I think that's what they're going to try to deploy as well, especially with Brooklyn being on a back-to-back. I think the emphasis, Billy Donovan's just going to say, look, let's try run these guys off the court. Let's see how much gas they got in the tank, especially guys like Harden and KD who had to log those big minutes. So for me, it's an overs or pass. Overs or passing on the total.
Yeah, I like that. And Caruso could be obviously if Caruso is out, that could help it to be a lot more offensive game as well. Caruso is one of the best defensive guys in this league. And be honest with you, when he's out there, it's not really for offense. It's to go up against one of the top offensive guys on the other side, hold them down. And I love it. That's how you play basketball, guys. I don't know about this new age NBA. It's how you play basketball. It's not just offense, it's defense as well. If you can stop the other team from scoring, you can have a bad night and still win. So I love the players in the NBA that still take pride on defensive end. Like I say, last game was 118-95. That one ended up going under, but like I say, the Nets fell apart in that fourth quarter there. So this one, usually when you have the first meeting go under, usually they kind of got the feel of each other, and the second meeting will go over as well. Cam Thomas as well. He wasn't in the last game. Some offensive punch for the Nets off the bench. All of this could equate to it over here. So I'm on Nets -2.5. My guy Josh here is on Bulls +3.5. In theory, we could both win. Nets win by 3. Hey, that'd be a good day, man. And you see the total as well going up from 219.5 to 222. That lets you know right there as well, compared to last game, that this one is more likely to go over, my guys.
Yeah, and you know, when it comes to totals as well, just real quick, we're seeing the overs cash a lot the last couple of weeks after a really slow start. And there's a big correlation between the overs cashing and a higher number of shooting fouls being called. Those whistles are starting to go again, and obviously that's going to favor a guy like Harden in particular. So, keep an eye on those totals as well. I think the overs is still going to keep hitting over this next week or so.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. We know Levine, DeRozan, the boys cooking right now. I think Harden, KD, they might be turned up for this one as well. Should see some points in this one. Let's go to the streets of Milwaukee here. Giannis is doubtful in this game. We got the Bucks sitting at -6.5. The Heat, like I say, they're +6.5. They're without Butler, and they were without Adebayo for a while now. So they're going to have to get used to playing without those guys. They just played a really good game yesterday versus the Pacers. Won straight up as 5.5-point underdogs, 113-104. Do you think they can duplicate their performance versus this Bucks team with no Giannis?
Man, it's tough. Like you can kind of expect Giannis might play, right? This line is way too high if he's out, even with the Miami outs. It doesn't make.
I think it was at like 10 at first. I think it seems like at 10. No, Giannis is doubtful. I do think that he's out. I think if he was in, they'd shoot it up here a lot. I think it was like at 10 at first. 6.5.
I cannot get close to that number personally. Even with the Miami outs, you know what you're going to get from them in that system. You know what Spoelstra is going to be able to execute with the guys he does have available. The Milwaukee minutes, like without Giannis, just Drew and Chris, they're not great. And I mean, we saw it against Toronto. It was pretty ugly for very large stretches there. So I have no trust in that team whatsoever without Giannis. I think it really limits what they can do. I'd probably say Miami or pass. I want nothing to do with that game at the moment. But the under's probably a decent look in that particular matchup, I think, just given the way that both teams probably meet up against each other structurally and some of the matchups you'll see on the floor as well.
Yeah, no, that's a damn good point, bro. I'd like to say that I would like to lean the Bucks for the simple fact they have the rest advantage. I'm not making a play in this game. I can make an argument for both teams. I don't want to take the Bucks without their big three. They do have the rest advantage here, and we know that the Heat are without their big three as well. Like 2 of their big three is out, so they're shorthanded as well. That's just why I'm looking at it matchups wise. The Heat just won their last game shorthanded, playing on the back-to-back. Now the Bucks come in with at least a day off. They knowing that they're going to have Giannis. Last time it was just kind of fishy, bro. We found out at the last minute that Giannis, you know what I'm saying? We look at people in the arena saying, he's not listed as starter. What the hell? And so now at least they know for a fact they're not playing without him, got a game under their belt. So the Bucks could look a tad bit better here, but I still agree with you there on that under. It should be a defensive type game. We know that the Heat struggle to score on the road, especially, but they're always going to bring that defense. PJ Tucker coming back to Milwaukee. I'm sure he'll be turned up for this one as well. So a lot of things moving here, right? honestly, looking at some props, PJ Tucker is not a good scorer, but he'll be turned up for this one, no, especially defensively. But don't be surprised if he gets a good 10 points or something. He's pissed that the Bucks didn't bring him back this year after winning the championship. Like PJ Tucker actually feels some type of way about that. So that's the type of stuff that I like to hit on props. PJ, I like that when there's added motivation going up against their old team here. Anything else on this one? You want to go to the next game?
No, let's go to the next game. This is probably the one game I just want to stay as far away from as possible, to be honest.
I'm right there with you on that. My guys in the chat saying they like Heat under. They just went over by Pacers. My guy Kenny, he's a real sharp guy. That's a good point as well. They looked really good offensively versus the Pacers last night. Yeah. The Bucks are a lot better defensively than them. So I could definitely see this one going under, and the market agrees with us. Open up at 213.5, down to 211, my guys. Let's go to the streets of Dallas here. This is where I'm at, not too far. I might go pull up at this game. No, hell no. What if I bought tickets to this game? No Luka, no Porzingis. I want my money back. I'm going to this game, and I want my money back to go to a different game. The Mavs were laying 5.5, 5. It's all the way down to +1 now. So the Grizzlies are now the favorite. It looks easy to take the Grizzlies. I'll be honest with you here, Josh. I still think this could possibly be a letdown game for the Grizzlies, and that's the cap for me. When you have a team score 150 points, when they get the NBA record of largest margin of victory in NBA history, I see that as a fade spot in the next game. You see the Mavs just did it. They put up 139 versus the Pelicans, then came back to that. Even though it was a revenge game, they regressed back to the mean. Their offense was nowhere near as good. That's what I see with the Grizzlies happening today. So even though the guys are out, I still lean Mavs. I think they can get it done. And I think this is a dead under spot, Josh. Please try to talk me off the under here.
I can't do it, man. I think you're spot on. I couldn't agree more. Like, this is very much the game where we're going to get some regression offensively from the Grizzlies. I think we've been waiting for it to happen as well without Ja. Like, they performed really well without Ja. Right. It's going to happen eventually. And it's probably going to happen in a divisional matchup. Like, simple as that, especially in a game like this. Like you said, it doesn't necessarily faze me too much that Luka and Porzingis are out in terms of how they're going to slow down Memphis is scoring. That's going to happen naturally, organically, whatever you want to call it. And, I think they can hang around long enough and they make this an absolute dogfight, in which case the unders just makes perfect sense for me. My numbers show a little bit of a lean towards the unders as well. I probably will get involved with it before tip-off. I'm showing my total to be about 4 points lower than current market value. That's the way I got to play it. Like you said, not just regression shooting-wise. I think teams as well get a chance to sort of figure things out and figure out what Memphis is doing. Like, it's difficult when a team loses a superstar and then you go up against them and things change. You don't know what to expect. You don't know what offensive schemes they're going to run. The Mavs have had a chance to have a good look at this team and this lineup right now to work out how they're going to operate and how they can shut that down. So, yeah, everything points to the unders for me in this spot.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something here. I know the Mavs and I know Jace Kidd, and then watching the last night, they got their ass kicked last night, plain and simple, right? So they were trying to come back. They took the guys out late Smith, and I can't be too mad for them resting Luka because he did kind of bang up his knee last night. And me seeing that, I'm like, I don't know if he's going to play. He did stay in the game. I thought that possibly Porzingis would be back today, Josh. I said it earlier on the early show. Oh, they're getting Porzingis back. All this. They finna snack him up. You know what? Jason Kidd said last night, hey, look, my team is built offensive. We're an offensive team. We're not built to play defense. And I said to myself then, that you know what that means? That means they're going to take pride on the defensive end tonight. Yeah. They're okay, we're playing defense. All right, we're going to show you. And another thing, Josh, maybe he's saying we don't need Luka or Porzingis in this game, because you look at the lineup, they're actually a much better defensive squad now. Brunson, Bullock, Dorian Finney-Smith, Cleveland Powell. That's actually like low-key a stacked defensive lineup. We know that Memphis without Ja Morant, they're not going to be as good in the transition offense. That's what Ja Morant does. He'll go from basket to basket real quick. Dunks, all this. Tyus Jones likes to slow things down a little bit. There's a little bit more defensive, slow down the game. Bane, defensive guy. Dylan Brooks, we know he's all defense. Jaren Jackson, Steven Adams. I think this is a dead under spot. And when my Mavs are missing so much offense with Porzingis and Luka, that's who the offense is running through. I think that we're going to struggle to score. I think both teams will struggle to score. I'm going to take this under. I tried to hop on it at my local 219.5. He wouldn't let me take it. It's at 215.5 now. I'll go official with that under. I think one of these teams are making it to 100 points here, Josh. I actually love the under, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see if the Mavs still win this game.
No, look, I'm probably with you on the under. I might lock that in straight after this, to be honest. I think as well, like you said, a good point in terms of how the Memphis offense operates without Ja. They're not going to be pushing the tempo at all. You look at the last fortnight, or the last week actually in particular, both these teams are bottom 10 in pace of NBA right now. Both these
Mm-hmm.
teams like to execute in the half court. They'll walk this thing up. They'll try to execute their offensive sets. I think we see a lot of one and done possessions as well. Both teams just securing that defensive rebound when it comes their way. Everything for me screams under here for multiple reasons. I think you touched on most of it, man. I'll be joining you on this one. Under 215.5. My model shows 212, so I'm with you.
Let's go. And I don't think it's getting past 210, man. Let's go. Let's cash this under.
Let's
I
do
think
it.
that the Grizzlies were really, like I say, they just scored 150 some points. They should regress tonight, and they're going to and look at who they did it against as well. This isn't the Thunder or the Kings, or they beat the Raptors as well. Raptors struggled offensively. That was a 98-91 type of game. That's what I'm seeing something similar to in this one. And I know the Grizz been hot, guys. I just say be careful. I'm not saying that the Mavs are a lock or still, but I'm just saying they're at the house. They did get smacked by 29 points in the last meeting last year. I do think they remember that, and they just got their ass kicked last night as well. I think that the Grizzlies will really have an offensive letdown here. I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see the Mavs still win this game, clamp down, and we get the under as well. Under 215.5 official play here, Josh. Let's go to the next game. Let's go to the streets of Golden State here, man. The Warriors took care of me last night, -7, Smack City, man. They're coming off a big game here, Josh. Now that this line opened up at 10, it got hit down to 8.5. It's back up to 9. We did see that there won't be any Otto Porter Jr. off the bench for the Warriors here, so they're going to be down a guy here. But I don't know, man. The Spurs been playing their best basketball of the year, Josh. It's Spurs or nothing for me in this game, but obviously it's tough to go against the Warriors, especially at the house. Would you like anything here?
Nah, look, I'm staying away. I'm with you. It's Spurs or nothing. I think that's the only way you can play it. You don't want to be laying the points here with the Warriors, as good as they are. It's just not the right spot for them. It's tough to get up, I think, for a game like this after that Phoenix one. They're going to be looking ahead as well. For San Antonio, you look at the schedule that they've got in the next week. It's brutal. It's really brutal. I think this is probably the last time you can buy on San Antonio, and then they've got some really tough spots coming up. So I did lean towards the Spurs at the opener. I was tempted to take it. I didn't take it. Like you said, so far just Otto Porter Jr. is the only one. The last report I read was that Draymond, Steph, no one's on the report, but hey, it's the NBA, man. Wild things can happen, so let's not rule anything out.
Yeah, we never know in this one. I'll tell you, especially late night game, Warriors coming off a Super Bowl type of game over the Suns. That was a big game. That was a playoff type of game. It was a big win for them. It's Spurs or nothing for me here. I told you guys, even versus the Blazers, low key, they're playing their best basketball of the season right now. Pop got them boys in the zone. DeJounte Murray, Derek White, these guys are balling. Even Jakob Poeltl, got guys like Lonnie Walker off the bench. These guys are balling right now. So I don't know if I can trust them versus the Warriors, but getting these points, it's the only way that I can look. I'm not laying the points with the Warriors in this specific spot coming off that big of a game. No Iguodala, no Otto Porter Jr. We know Iguodala's been out for a while. Obviously, still no Klay Thompson. So, still, man, it's Spurs nothing. But let's get to this. It's just a lean for me. It's not a super strong game. And then I'd like to lean to the under as well, Josh. What you think, real quick, on that total? Spurs been playing some defense here. We know that the Warriors D up here.
Exactly right. The Spurs defense is feisty, man. They're going to hang around. They'll make it a dogfight. Offensively, I don't trust the Spurs at all. I still think that they have some really ugly sets. They can go on droughts without scoring for 2-3 minutes at a time, and happens multiple times a game as well. So whenever I look at the Spurs matchups, if I like the points for them, I generally lean the under as well. I think there's good correlation between the two.
I liked it, bro. I'm like that you look towards the totals as well, bro, because I don't really look towards them a lot. When I have a spot, I will, like this Mavs, and I know my team as well, so I think this will be a good under spot. But I'm glad you're looking at the totals with me, all right? Let's go to the streets of Portland here. We go to the streets of Portland. I did like the Celtics here earlier. I was thinking possibly Jaylen Brown's out. I still think they can get it done without Jaylen Brown. Problem is now Al Horford's out as well. Langford, he left the last game, didn't come back. They are on a back back-to-back coming from Utah. They did lose, but it was a close game. Powell's going to go ahead and play with a broken nose for the Blazers, but now Anthony Simon's out. So you got Lillard out, you got Lillard and Little out, and you're missing Anthony Simons now. So they're down to only two guys that can handle the ball. That's C.J. McCollum and Dennis Smith Jr. Things are getting even worse for the Blazers. I still think they could drop another game at the house, even though I would love to have Horford out there. Josh, what you thinking?
Yeah, so I took Boston earlier before the Horford. I didn't expect that. I didn't think that Jaylen Brown was going to play. Just looking at how he sort of came off of that game in Philly, he was hobbling a lot, and I don't think they're going to risk him anytime soon, especially this West Coast road trip. So that didn't surprise me. I took them anyway. I still think Boston is the right play here. You just get a better price at them now, to be perfectly honest. I'm not too fazed by this back-to-back situation, just because, like you said, you look at Portland, they've lost playmakers, ball handlers. This Celtics defense is very legit, very, very legit. And I think that they match up with them perfectly. I do lean towards the under. I liked it at 214.5 initially. I still think that there's value there on the under again, just because Portland's going to really struggle to score points here. And these are two teams, again, don't play high-paced offenses, don't play a lot in transition, a lot of half-court sets. If we get into the half court, I think the defense for both teams is probably going to be successful for the majority. And in that case, I also lean towards the Celtics still getting it done here, just because I love the matchups that they have. I think the Rob Williams-Nurkic matchup in particular favors Boston at both ends of the floor. I don't think Nurkic can keep up with him at either end there. I think Tatum's going to have an absolute mismatch as well, and we should probably see the best of him in a game like this for me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. You know what? I like Celtics in the first half. We like the Celtics. We like the matchups. It's going to take them some time to get – they're already getting used to playing without Lillard. Now, Simons was the starting point guard. Now they got to get used to doing that. What they're going to do, start McCollum at the three. At the point guard. They're going to have Dennis Smith Jr. starting. What are they going to do? So it could take some time for them to get that one right. And the Celtics, in theory, should have the most energy as well in the first half here. So, guys in chat, if I'm liking the Celtics here, then I'd like them in the first half. I still think they can win this game. The Blazers have a lot of problems. They've been super hot at the house due to regress down, in my opinion, especially without Lillard. I said this the other day when I took the Spurs +5. I said I think they'll go on a slide here, even at the house. And this is a bad matchup for the Celtics as well. Celtics, the only way I'll be looking heavy lean to this Celtics in the first half, and I still think they can get it done full game as well. One more game here. We got the Clippers versus the Kings here. This is a revenge spot, right? Now, the Clippers are in a rest disadvantage, but I still think they possibly be coming to play here versus the Kings. It's a tough game for me because it's a tough game for the Clippers. They've been playing a ton of games as well and coming off a huge game last night, Josh, to win versus the Lakers. Everybody told me I was crazy for taking them last night too, but that's another conversation.
That's the right side.
They cash, man. Josh, you don't know, but everybody that was in the chat, I had people texting my phone, all type of stuff saying, bro, don't take the Lakers, save your money, all this. And they don't take the Clippers. I'm like, I didn't even text back. I said, I'm taking them. I don't give a damn what y'all say, man. So what you think about this game, Clippers versus Kings?
Look, I'm on the unders here. I took it earlier. I took it again. It's 219.5. I can understand why people pushing the overs in this spot. You think Sacramento in particular are an overs team. They don't particularly play a high pace either. So I think a lot of us expected Alvin Gentry to come in and just tell these guys to run it. And they're not really doing that right now. Clippers defense is elite. Like, it is really, really good. The flip side, though, like you said, the rest disadvantage for them is significant. Second of a back-to-back, 3-4, 5-7, 6-9 nights. Like, this stuff is starting to add up for this team. And, they're a team that relies heavily on three-point shooting going their way on a night-to-night basis in order for them to pick up wins. Man, the first thing that goes is the legs when fatigue starts to hit. And, you need your legs if you're a jump shooting team. I think we're going to see some offensive regression from them in this game, which is going to make it a little bit tighter than I think most people expect it to be. But for me, it just sets up for a perfect under spot here. I actually show this game coming out at about 211, so pretty far under the current market at 219.5.
Yeah, and the Clippers are a really good defensive team as well. And they were running fast pace last night, back and forth with the Lakers. They'll probably try to clamp down, slow the game up as well. If they're in a terrible spot, whether they lose or not, you won't be running and gunning fifth game in 7 nights. I can tell you that right now. I'm a basketball player. You know what? Even if we do run a gun, We're gonna slow it down today, man. We're running slow pace. We're gonna run a slow pace tempo today, man. I'm getting tired already, man. First quarter barely over. So me personally, with this being a revenge game, I know that the Kings, they've been rested since they beat the Clippers last game when they did rest Paul George. He is playing today. I look towards Clippers early. I look towards the Clippers try to come in here and get this one over with, clamp down on the Kings. We know, like you say, they're a three-point shooting team, get in their face, get them to missing some shots early, off early. I lean Clippers early here, first quarter, first half. They do have revenge. Now, they could run out of gas in the second half. It's perfectly possible, but I do think this will be a Clippers-type game. They know they just lost to the Kings. They probably looked ahead to it's real hard to take them versus the Lakers. They rested Paul George looking ahead to that game, and they probably thought they could win without him. He's in here. I lean Clippers first quarter, first half here. That's it for me. That's the only thing I'll be looking at here, Josh. Anything else, bro? Hey, we finna get out of here. Anything else you want to say? Anything to the people, bro? Motivation wise, your free picks. The floor is yours, my brother.
I appreciate it, man. Now, look, let's go have ourselves a day. I mean, we'll jump on plenty more streams throughout the year. It's a long season. That's one thing I'm going to keep preaching to everyone is it's a long season. It's a roller coaster. Anyone that bets any other sport knows that there's nothing wilder than betting the NBA. Like variance on a night to night is crazy. So just, have some faith in your system, have some faith in your numbers as well. But hey, we're going to do this shit again sometime real soon as well. As for tonight, though, I think there's plenty of value to be had. Yeah, let's go catch some of these tickets.
Let's do it, Josh. Break them off with your official plays if you don't mind.
Let's go the unders, under 219.5, Sacramento, LA Clippers. I'm also jumping on with you, Jay, on that unders in Dallas, Memphis, under 215.5. I think the only one where we're sitting opposites is I'm riding Chicago +3 in that game. You'll be on the Brooklyn Nets -2.5, right?
Yeah, I gotta take the Nets today, my guys. This is what is the top play today, man. I do like the Nets today. I also like the Grizzlies Mavs under 215.5. I know my team. I do think this is still a winnable game for the Mavs. I still lean Mavs first quarter, first half, full game, guys. It's not the official trifecta. If I had Luka in there, even without Porzingis, I'd be all over this shit. I'm talking about heavy, but I still lean that way. I still think the Mavs will come out here with a defensive type mindset. I think that the Grizzlies won't be making as many shots as the last game as well. And I think that the Mavs are pissed off. Simple. They got their ass kicked last night in their home gym. I think they come back here and this trifecta, they only need to be leading after the first quarter, first half, and full game because they're the underdog here. So I still lean Mavs trifecta. I am taking the underdog. Official play 215.5. Taking the Nets as well, -2.5. Still like it at 3 as well, my guys. I wouldn't talk anyone out of waiting for the Caruso news. I do think that there's a heavy possibility that he could be out, but he still may play in this when he has a sore hamstring. The line could possibly move with that. So Nets for me, -2.5 is what my money's on. Under 215.5, Grizzlies, Mavs. Heavy lean to Celtics in the first half. I still lean the full game as well. First half might be a little better play with them being on a back-to-back with no Horford or Jaylen Brown. And then I lean the Clippers. First quarter, first half as well. This is a back-to-back for the Clippers, but they do have revenge versus the Kings. Could get ugly in the second half. Kings could possibly run them off the floor, but I do lean the Clippers in that first quarter, first half of revenge, man. That's the show today. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I've been doing 2 shows lately, Josh, just trying to give the people all the info as possible. I'll go early with some looks, and then we'll get some injury info, so I'll try to go late as well. So I really appreciate you for coming on with me, man. Go follow my guy on Twitter @punt_school. My guy Josh, he will be back on here. He'll do a show with me, Shark, just me and him, all type of stuff. My guy knows a guy Friday, all of that good stuff, man. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Hit the like button, subscribe, share the show, and we're out, my guys.